The destruction of a flash flood was on full display in Poudre Canyon. The historic Cameron Peak fire last year left behind its deadly calling card. Connie Archer saw the impact.
There was a mudslide up top, and it took out a house at Black Hollow. And of course, I know many people up in that area, and I was just worried for their safety.
The burn scar poured mud down the slopes, taking trees with it. 5 homes were destroyed, one perhaps with people inside. A car was swept away in the deluge.
Three other people are still missing, and the search for them has resumed. All 4 of those people are from one home along Black Hollow Drive. The sheriff says they're working with the family to release names. That home was one of 5 buildings destroyed Tuesday evening. Dan Bond lives in that area and calls that family good people. He and others describe what happened.
I heard the noise of the trees breaking and the rocks rolling and all this stuff.
There was just so much debris, and the river was black.
I've lived up here all my life, and I would never have guessed that Black Hollow would do something like that.
Those living in that area believe that debris came down Black Hollow Creek just below the Cameron Peak burn scar.
Hey everybody, this is Nate. We're up above Rustic where they had that recent flooding down the Poudre, or up the Poudre I guess, because we're up here quite a ways. Look at this river just carving away through the landscape, and just all the way up this river there's been debris. You've seen like roofs of houses, and right now it's just cutting through, it's carving its way through the landscape, and just massive mudslides and rocks piled up. It's pretty impressive. Look at
bridge is looking a little sketchy. They're still driving cars across it though, I guess.
That's amazing. Water, it looks like, came all the way up to the highway right here. It's from a couple rains after the fires. All that flash flooding. I don't know if I want to trust that bridge. Really sketchy. I'm going to take off, give the landowners a bit of privacy. It's just really dramatic, all these boulders. This landscape, this area didn't look like this before at all. Amazing power of water. To shape create a whole new landscape. Carve its way through the terrain. That's probably why the water got re-diverted right here, because of all this mudslide. It's carved a new path for the river. So I'm at the Poudre River. This is just above Rustic, Colorado, where they had all the flash flooding from all the fires last year. There's a piece of something, a piece of metal. But you can see over here somebody's propane tank. Starting to rain right now, actually. A lot of debris from at least one house. There's possibly a couple houses that were caught in flash flooding. And just up the road here is that massive mudslide. I think they showed it on the local news. And I think the houses pretty well cleaned up by now, but it's just an amazing amount of water came through here, because just up the highway here, everything is just burned up. It's got really steep terrain, and so all this rain just funnels down this canyon. Unfortunately, some of these houses are just a little too close for comfort alongside the river's edge. And it's nice for a while living next to the river, but when this kind of stuff happens, quickly goes from peaceful to nightmare. You can see where all these little rivulets, seasonal springs lead into the river here. And yeah, there's all kinds of debris around here. Yeah, you can just see debris everywhere. I don't want to step on a nail or something, because I just saw a 2x4 over there. Look at this. Somebody's fan. Look at that, a hoe. Got a hoe in this river. So yeah, I don't know what else is washed down this river, but you can see some of the sediment
Yeah, just pieces of siding.
Just amazing. All this debris right here. Jump across the river here. Yeah, and these trees, just massive trees, just stripped of their bark. And yeah, it's very reminiscent of the flood we had in the Big Thompson down our own little canyon just a few years ago. Yeah, this thing. We're gonna move this size of debris. Must have just had a massive amount of water coming through here.
You can see, like I said, looks like it was a ladder. It looks like a dolly or something like that.
Red dolly right there in the river. Phil, and they'll be cleaning up this river for months to come. Fishing things out of the river. Yeah, it's just amazing the power of nature. All it takes is just a few events, you know, corresponding, like the fires we had just last year. Cameron Peak fire. East Troublesome fire, and just enough rain to cause all this destruction. It's crazy. I've been curious now for a while. I haven't made it up here yet until just now, but it is a bit impressive, dramatic, I guess, to see the destruction in person. Thought this was interesting. If I can get closer. This was somebody's, probably part of their deck or something. Wow. Concrete footer. Yeah, it looked like a massive, like a 8x8 beam must have been in there at one point in time. Yeah, just all this random debris strung along the river banks. And it's still sprinkling. So, who knows? Might not even be over yet. You see things like shiny metallic things in the river. Here and there, you can't really even tell what they are. Sighting of somebody's house. Yeah, it looks like the water had to at least be up to here. Somebody's shingles from their house. Yeah, you could probably just keep walking this river's edge and just keep finding things probably. New little treasures all the way down the river probably. Probably not all that much worth anything, but yeah, it's amazing to see. It just seems to be more and more of a common occurrence to see this kind of thing. So where I'm standing, the water was this high. You can tell by this tree in front of me.
Last summer's wildfires left burn scars high above Poudre Canyon. Now, this community has another wound below.
I'm just in shock. I keep reliving what I saw.
Jerry watched as a mudslide traveled near his cabin on Black Hollow Road Tuesday evening.
It sounded like a freight train or a tornado. Just a very loud rumbling sound. We could see in the trees up there this big 8 to 10 foot tall mass rolling towards the river. A lot of sludge, a lot of huge boulders, logs. When that hit the cabins, there's 3 cabins right along here, they didn't even slow it down. It just pushed them in the river.
On Wednesday, Jerry returned to the area. His cabin still intact, but his spirit unsturdy. He says he and his wife could have been swept away too.
If we'd have been a minute earlier, and if I'd have driven across the bridge and turned to our cabin, that's probably when that mass would have hit. And I would have probably, it would have pushed us in the river.
On Wednesday, search crews recovered the body of 1 victim. And on Thursday, they'll continue searching for 3 more people still reported missing.
I'm at a loss. I don't know where to start.
But healing will likely be one of the community's first steps.
We'll get through this.
Give it a year or 2 for things to grow. In 2 or 3 years, it'll seem normal, I think.
So yeah, just got back from Poudre Canyon, and man, that was something to see, all the destruction that can be wrought, to use a fancy word, from just a bit of rainfall after the fires went through that area. Just homes destroyed by mudslides, debris littering the Poudre River. And I'm just taking it easy. I'm tired today. It's got up early to go for a trip, and otherwise it's a really beautiful river. There's a lot of areas to park, a lot of fee areas, but if you keep driving, just, it's up the canyon up west of Fort Collins. If you keep driving, you eventually find there's quite a few free campgrounds and little picnic table areas and places you can, bathe in the river. They usually have rafting, different water activities on that, on the Poudre. But yeah, it's just man, the place was dramatic. When we pulled over and looked at those rocks, that where the river, it looked, so from what I gathered just from looking at the area, and then I I guess it was kind of reconfirmed with somebody else I talked to afterwards. I guess they just had a massive landslide in that area with all the boulders, and completely just re-diverted the river. And that's why I was like, man, why does the river look like it's the river was running through the forest? Man, it was because it was like re-diverted around this massive rock slide, boulders. So that was man, that was dramatic. And it's just like I just heard that warning beep. National Weather Agency, or whatever. Because we do have, as I speak, we have more rain clouds above us, and so I don't know. I think we just get one thing we risk as Christians. I'm speaking, which we should by now realize that we're living in the end times. One thing that I fear for all of us is that we get a little jaded when we see these things on a continual basis, and there in Matthew, where Jesus talks about the signs of the end. By the way, just off the top of my head, we had a good sermon at church today, and the preacher, I think somebody's going past on a horse. It's a cool sound. Horse hooves. Somebody's going on a little joyride. Frank Fournier, the preacher, talked about the patience of the saints. And, here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus, testimony of Jesus. But he talked in particular about the faith of the saints. And, how we have to have that patience. None of us are really that good at, right? And if we can't handle the, in these good times, the adversities, just dealing with people, how are we going to stand and be faithful when things really get tough? And it was a good message. It was relevant, and he even brought up the vaccine issue, and like I said, we haven't been forced to take it yet, and I had to take him aside after the sermon, and I was like, there are some, it's getting pretty close, and I met a lot of people there who were, one lady was from, the islands off the Great Britain, something Chiles, I gotta look them up now. It sounded really beautiful where she was from. She had that classic accent. And I mentioned Mike Eden, and she hadn't heard of him, and I was like, you gotta look up Mike Eden, because he's from England as well. And but she was just talking about the propaganda, how you cannot question anything over there. You can't question the vaccines. And she was very opposed to the whole idea. And so yeah, I met a lot of like-minded folks. It's a good place. They're in Masonville, a church in Masonville. What was I saying? Yeah, I was talking to the preacher, Frank, and he's a Canadian originally, and I used to work actually with his brother, Roger, tree cutting, and man, that guy worked me like a dog. Much older than I, but seemingly just unfazed, this guy. Like, yeah, I've been feeling it ever since, doing about a month of tree cutting. But they're a hardy breed up there in northern Canada. Anyway, I just took Frank aside, and I was like, yeah, it's getting really close, though, because in LA, the mayor's saying, you know what? Nobody who enters any building in LA will be able to walk into a building without a vaccine passport. And in Washington, I just found out, home of my friend Chief Culp, who should have been governor, obviously, because now look at what you got to deal with inslees, they call them affectionately. All government workers, all healthcare workers, get vaccinated, or by, I think it's October 2nd or 4th, early October, they'll lose their jobs. What's that going to do, do you think, to this whole narrative of the hospitals are overwhelmed when, I don't know about half, but you probably get a good 25-30% healthcare workers quitting because they know better, right? How's that going to play into things? It's just, I'm always thinking ahead. And, it's just the government is master of just making things worse, creating chaos. And that's what I think this is, where this is headed. And who knows? Maybe we will have some more serious outbreak. Maybe it'll just be a complication or a side effect of all these things that I can't talk about. Start with who knows? Maybe things will get real this fall, right? And it might not just be the fall change of season. It might be the fall of our republic if these globalist New World Order puppets have their way. Make no mistake, there's a mastermind behind all this. And he's got a pretty sophisticated plan, right? We look at I'll call them the little shadow puppets, deep state shadow government. We look at these guys and we're like, man, these guys are clowns. These guys are idiots, right? Biden, he's not all there. His son, Hunter, was probably, from the looks of it, framed with all of his crack smoking and whatnot on video. It's a classic way that they frame either, the actual politician or a member of his family, and that just shows the bias of the media. Like, why is that not made a bigger deal? Yeah, just sweep that one under the rug because Joe's doing a good job for, his masters. And, he's all on board for the Great Reset, according to Skull and Bones Kerry. So, John Kerry said Biden's all for the Great Reset. Of course he is. He was in the audience at the World Economic Forum, listening to Klaus Schwab. So anyway, front row, by the way. I think this was before he's president. I saw a video of that. Anyway, all these dots are connecting. All these roads are leading to the same moment in time, and we've been forewarned through Bible prophecy that all these things would come. And it is going to take the patience of the saints. It's going to take, if we don't perfect our characters now to deal with the little struggles in life, then we won't be able to stand. And things get really tough. And we start being denied basic services, right? Somebody mentioned, I forgot where it was now, but some country where you're denied, you can't go to the hospital without the vax, right? I think that's coming. Why not, right? So, man, better get your dental work done now, right? Well, you can. That's what I've been thinking of. Man, I got too many cavities. Anyway, always thinking ahead. So I think we should be preemptive, because if we know the road ahead, we need to take the necessary precautions. And for all those things that we can't, prepare for, just allow God into our hearts, into our minds, and just realize that the trials we face on a daily basis build character, and we're going to need that character. With the strength of the Holy Spirit, we're going to need that character to get through the road ahead, because things just keep, like we saw today at this these houses that were destroyed, these neighborhoods, people's livelihoods. You know, far down the river, I didn't catch it on video, but there was like a tub. Somebody's tub from their house just washed down the river. So you just try to put yourself in that person's shoes, and you know what used to be their home. You know, all those personal little items that you keep in your home are all just strewn along the river. And for some people, that's pretty. For a lot of us, that's their lives. You know, just completely uprooted, broken apart. And yeah, let's just realize when we see these things happening that these things should wake us up and make us more serious about our walk with God, because it should be more and more apparent that our time is short on this earth, and we're in the earth's final hour right now, and things are wrapping up quickly. So let's not just fall back to sleep and pretend, you know, oh, things will go back to normal. Yeah, things aren't going back to normal. From here on out, nothing's normal. Thanks for listening. I'm gonna get back to work. Do something. I've been laying in this hammock too long. Beautiful day though, nice and cool. Overcast. Anyway, God bless. See you later.